What's up, guys? Today I ran into a issue that you guys will probably run into yourself. Had a line split. Luckily, as you can see, it was at the end of our line, pretty much right where we connect. I'm going to show you guys kind of just a step-by-step of how you would go about fixing this so you can avoid having to pay, you know, 50, 100, who knows how many dollars by going and taking it to a shop. So we'll get right into that. So I'd already taken this screw loose, but as you can see, and it's pretty self-explanatory, of course, you're going to have your line hooking up into the actual reel itself. Easiest way I can tell you guys to find it is just by simply undoing your entire reel system. And then, like you can see, we actually uncovered it there. And then usually you're going to have some type of lock on here. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just get your drill and loosen that bad boy up enough to where you can, you know, slide that pretty easily. And then from there, it might take a little bit of strength, and, you know, you just need to do what you can, wiggle it loose, and then as you can see, it just pulls right off. Like I said, overall pretty self-explanatory. We had to use, I believe it's a 5/16 inch bit, and we just hooked it up to our impact. I did go ahead and use some pliers, channel locks, to help, you know, like I said, kind of get that loose, because it's obviously clamped on there pretty good whenever you're first, you know, trying to wiggle it off. But came off pretty easy. Next thing we're going to use is these cutters. You can get these pretty much from any hardware store, Ace or Home Depot. They're like 10 bucks. It's actually a cool little multi-use tool. It's got a, you know, a couple knives and a couple just different things at the bottom as well. But we're just going to take this and just literally cut that, as I'll show you guys here in a second, and then we'll be on our way. The easiest way you want to do this is just give yourself a couple inches from where your actual puncture hole, whatever you want to call it, actually is, and then you just take these guys and just simply cut it. May take a little bit of elbow grease, of course, to get that off, but then once you get it, you can go ahead and pitch that piece if you want. Obviously there's really no use for it after that, so just go ahead and pitch that into the trash, and then from there we're going to hook this back up to the rig. One important part that I don't want to forget is make sure whenever you're putting this back on that you did cut your line straight. I'm actually going to rip this back off just to make sure we get a little more straight. As you can see, even when we have it sucked up perfectly tight, there is a slight gap there. We don't want no gap whatsoever. So I'm going to take this back off, trim it, make sure it's nice and flush, and then get this back on. See how that's nice and flush up against there all the way around? That lets you know you got a good straight cut. And then, like I said, from there, we just got to clamp this guy back on. I am going to have to put the phone down for a second while I tighten this. You obviously don't want to over tighten it to the point that you actually just completely squish this and put holes in it, obviously. But you want it nice and snug. Run a test on it. I'll show you guys the finished product here in just a second. All right, now that we got that all clamped on, like I said, pretty self-explanatory. You could use a flathead screwdriver. It's going to take a lot longer. Easier if you just have a drill with that 5/16 bit. They make them in different sizes too, so, you know, find whatever is going to fit your hose best. I like to run mine to where, you know, this little edge piece, this is your axis that's gonna, you know, as you're tightening it down, there's going to be more of this come out. I tried to run it to where it's actually going to run with the hose. That way, whenever we start to actually, you know, tighten the hose up, you're not going to have this piece here, you know, rubbing up against your hose and causing another future issue, potentially with chafing and all that type of stuff. I'm wondering if that's what actually caused our original issue, because it wasn't because of a freeze or anything. We haven't had a freeze down here in Texas in 3 or 4 months. So yeah, that's why I'm wondering if that's what happened there. So we ran it to where it's running with the hose, running down, not sticking up or anything. And of course, after that, you just want to run a test, make sure there's no leaks or anything. You guys can hear me, but as you can see, there's no leaks. Want to go ahead and, you know, just run a water spray test. Of course, don't spray any chemical, obviously. Just spray with some water. Make sure that that's holding, that you're not having any new leaks or anything in your line. Cut that rig off because that's obnoxious. And yeah, I mean, if we look at our overall line, obviously always like to depressurize our line as well. Looking at everything, nothing seems to be leaking anywhere. Believe it or not, even though it looks like a mess right now, this will actually reel right back up on this reel perfectly fine, with no kinks, no tangles, anything. I don't know if it's just something with having a battery powered one versus a hand reel one or what, but another trick for you guys too. You see how we have our water hookup here? we actually found one of these at Home Depot. It's like a little 6-foot extension to where we can hook up into our water line. So a little hack for you guys there. I know a lot of you guys have closed cabins in terms of, you know, your bed. Guess what? Since this is 6 foot, you can run this to the end of your bed, and then you can just fill it up straight from the back of your bed as well. So if you're like me, you used to work for like Terminex or one of those companies where it was kind of a pain to hook the hose up to your rig, that's a little hack for you guys too that stayed till the end of the video. But yeah, in short, you know, like I said, it's very common. I've had 2 of these happen over my 3 to 4 years so of being out on my own. So it does happen from time to time. You know, with that, like anything, there's always shit that goes wrong with equipment out here. And if I were to take this into the shop at Pesco in Garland, Texas, shout out to them, they always take good care of us. But if we took it in there, I would have lost a couple hours of my day, not to mention it would have cost at least $75 to $100 just to get that fixed. Like I said, it was great that it did happen at the end of the line. If it happens, you know, say right in the middle of your line or something like that, you're going to be screwed. Unfortunately, you're going to have to get a whole new hose. But like I said, you know, either way, finding the kink, knowing how to take everything apart, it'll save you a lot of money. Because even if you did have to get a new hose, you could get one online, a solid 300-foot hose for, you know, maybe $100 or so, depending on where you get it from, how much PSI can handle, all that good stuff. But versus, you know, paying someone else to do it, it'd be $300, $400. So hopefully it saves you all a lot of money and time. Even with doing this video, it only took me about 10 minutes. And I mean, if I wasn't doing the video, it would have taken me like a minute and a half. So hopefully you guys did appreciate it. If you did, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button, the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and let us know in the comments down below if there's any tips or tricks or anything that you all have for keeping stuff like this from happening.